Hey folks, Jonathan here. Alright, following day after working on the manifold, and want to answer a few questions here or just a few comments. I'd seen where someone had said about milling the entire manifold together, both the exhaust manifolds and the intake, while it was bolted together. I'd love to do that. My milling machine is just does not have enough travel. You can see the two holes that I've got taken off there. That's the ends of the intake holes. So that's the longest section between them two, and it just barely made them two. That's about 25 inches, I think. So it would have never made the other two end pieces for the exhaust manifolds. That's why we done it all separate. But you just got to take a little bit more care and time into making sure it's it's level, and you're doing it to where you're not going to get one of them way thinner than the other one and all that. So it's not a problem. Okay, the other manifold, which is our rear one that is bad, I did buy the one. There was one on the internet. I wanted $45 for it. I got a message offering to sell it for $35, and it expired because I was sort of waiting to see how bad this one was from George. So I offered them $30, and they took it. So I did get it for $30, and it's in Denver, Colorado. So it's going to be a few days before it gets here. We should come in this week and we'll get it, get it finished up. I got gaskets coming, and so we'll be able to get that wrapped up. And yeah, I'm going to sandblast it and paint it, put some heat paint on it and stuff, and then I'm going to paint this engine before I put it on anyway. So it'll look good. And I had originally planned to make an exhaust manifold and intake manifold, or make a set of headers and intake manifold. I've done that a lot, and I used to do it on all the pulling tractors, and it's not a hard job to do. It's time consuming, cutting the pipes, getting all the pipes right, and then a lot of welding and a lot of grinding to make it look good. But when George called and offered that, especially at the price that he offered it at, I just really wanted to first, when he said it was in rough shape, that's better for me. I enjoyed doing stuff like that. So to be able to try to get it straightened out and get something together, it's all part of the build. It's all part of the fun of building a car. And I really like the original 2 barrel and the split manifold, and we'll just do whatever we need to do to make it look decent, and we'll run it. So I don't think our motor mount's gonna be in the way, because we did flip them over. They was the other way, so we should be able to clear everything there. I think it's going to come back a little bit. But originally that manifold, they V'd together into one pipe. So of course we're going to run dual pipes. And I don't know how it'll sound, but we'll know when we do it. Okay folks, some of y'all may remember this box. This was an old military box that we really could not figure out what it was. Some people thought it was an ambulance, and some people thought it was different stuff. But anyway, this thing had a canvas top in the center originally, and someone has put tin on it, and a couple windows in it, which we're going to block over. But I finally got it picked up and brought here the other day when I was over there with the rollback, and I think I figured out quite a bit more about the box, because when I brought it here, up in the front right corner, it had like a foot locker. When I went to take the foot locker out, it was rotted all to pieces and fell apart, but underneath it, up toward the wall, was a bunch of tubes. So I'm guessing this was probably communications, and that was one of the guesses before, but we couldn't find any pictures of it. It had a gate that folded up in the back, but anyway, I'm going to show you what I used it for. So it just fits a Ford Roadster directly in it. That's it. So we can keep it out of the weather. And like I said, I'm going to block these windows off. But I don't think it would have. It wouldn't have went in if it was any longer. But we've got about an inch to spare at the front, and about an inch at the back. Anyway, we have a place to store to store our roadster out of the weather. And like I said, I'm going to get these windows blocked off. Okay folks, today I think we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go ahead and see if we can do a first start on this 305 GMC V6. And hopefully she'll run alright. But let me get it uncovered here. See what we're going to need to do. Okay folks, here she is uncovered. For those of you that don't know, they ran the spark plugs at the top side instead of the bottom side, so you never have to worry about plug wires getting on the exhaust manifolds. The valve covers will look a lot like a 348 or a 409 engine, even though this is V6. They made these valve covers with a plaid cover on them at one time, and it was actually like a wallpaper. I don't like that. Now, I didn't do that denting. It was already there, I guess, but hopefully that won't hit no rockers. So, yeah, that ain't good. Thing looks pretty good. It's got a huge water pump. Oh, it ain't a water pump, that's the housing. You've got a small water pump. Got a huge timing cover, let's put it that way. Let me see. Starter, no wires hooked up. Now, transmission cooler, this is pretty neat. This is a transmission cooler. What you have is two heater hoses that run in and out of it, run through it, and then your transmission fluid runs through it. So here's your transmission line, which runs to the cooler here. This is a hydromatic transmission. This is the big, early cast iron stuff. This is a 60 or 61 model engine. The Y pipe, I seen where it was rusted into in a couple of places, so it's going to be noisy. Our main thing is to make sure, hopefully, that there's no major knocks or anything in it, no, rod thrown, and make sure that it don't just pour smoke. And check the oil; it's full of oil. The oil don't look bad. Like I said, I don't know how long this one's been not ran, but I don't think it's been as long as most of the ones that I start up. So, blow by tube, draft tube. So everything looks good though. I've traded for another one of these engines that has a stick shift bell housing and stuff behind it. So if we use one of these later on, it'll probably be another 5-speed deal. But don't know. Neat engine, different. That's why I like it. And we're going to get some cables hooked up here so we can at least fire it up. All right, folks. So carburetor's on, actually pumping fuel, and it's firing. So I just wiped through the points real quick, and I think it's going to be okay. So we're going to see if we can get it to fire off. I think we're ready. Battery's charged. I don't know if there's any gas up to it. No. It'll take a few minutes to get gas up in it, but we'll see what happens. All right, exhaust pipe, and it's crushed under the pan. Well, I don't think it's under the pan. It's running back that way beside the pan, but anyway, let's see what happens. Sounds awfully good to me. No smoke at all. We'll let it set and cool down a little bit and we'll fire it up again. Alright folks, she's cold as can be. I went in and ate. Let it sit. Let's see what happens. There you go. Sounds like the timing might be retarded on this thing just a little bit, but she's a good runner. Let's see, she's probably going to need a front seal. You can see a little bit wet around it, and of course, it's a couple of bolts missing out of the valve cover. Got to be taken off and straightened back out anyway. Pretty good engines. Pretty hard on fuel, but when it comes to torque, plenty of torque, dependability, you know, lasts forever, you know, low RPM engine, and you know, low RPMs, you know, usually means something's going to run a long time anyway. But anyway, this was a Facebook Marketplace purchase, and I had known about this thing on Facebook Marketplace for a long time. The asking price for this engine and transmission was at $200, and you know, I was more than willing to pay the $200. The problem was it was a pretty good ways away, and it just so happened that my son was going right up around there to pick up a small motorcycle. So we made the arrangements and bought the engine at the same time. So it's a $200 engine. There's nothing wrong with that engine. It runs good. This is not on the list of things to do right now, but eventually that will have a 5-speed behind it. We'll clean it up, you know, reseal it, and you know, make sure nothing's leaking on it and everything, just like we do all the other ones, and put it in something. A lot of people don't like engines like this because they're actually different. You know, they're not the cookie cutter small block, and you know, they got a GMC truck, so they want to put a small block Chevrolet in it, and it's easier to find parts and stuff for it. But you know, the reason they don't want it is because it's different, but the reason I do want it is because it's different. You know, it's not, these are not rare engines by any means, but you know, there's not they're not laying around everywhere. But this is a 305 version. Item Wire has got a 702, which is a V12 version of the 351 engine. They made this in a 351, and it's basically one single block with 4 heads and 2 intakes and 2 distributors and stuff put together. But anyway, and these are marked right on them. The size got 305 right on it. I figured we would just start it up and see how it ran, and you know, make sure that it was worth saving. We'll get her wrapped back up and put her away. Okay folks, back on this thing tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and make some body mounts and get that over with, and just start knocking out all the little stuff, and go from there. But anyway, I want to do something a little bit different today. I figured I'd do a first start on that engine. Back was hurting a little bit today, so from, I guess, probably standing around doing that machine work. So I figured I'd take a little bit of a break today. Take a break from working on one thing to work on another. Anyway, so oh, I wanted to show something else. Okay, if I've got one of these bags right here, no, really likes falling around. Kevin from Connecticut sent a box full of treats. I've got a picture of them, I'll show you. He sent along, also sent along a flea collar, which she's got a good one on right now, but it won't be long. Good time to change it. But if I take this bag here, she goes a little crazy. Let me get some out for her. This is chicken, turkey, and catnip flavor. All right. So, you know, we buy for a lot of animals. I buy for some big dogs. So, Nana don't get treats too often at all. So, Kevin has got her spoiled now because she really likes them. She's looking around for the dog. Go ahead, Nana. I got you. She'll be eating, but any kind of noise scares her because she's afraid the dog is going to come up and get her food. So I don't think she realizes that I'm not going to let them do that. Kevin, I appreciate it, buddy. Nina definitely appreciates it. And so far, I've opened, I think 3 or 4 different bags and gave her just a little bit out of each one of them for a treat every day, and she hasn't found one yet she don't like. Yeah, folks, another thing I want to add in too, this engine here was another one that was on Facebook Marketplace, and I gave $250 for it. And you know, you all heard it run. So I've been really lucky about the engines I buy. But don't think that there's not cheap ones out there that you can get. You know, if you don't mind being a little different, and I think that's what, you know, sort of makes people want to look at something, is they want to see something a little bit different. I mean, small block Chevrolets are everywhere, and LS motors, and even Ford motors to me, you know, and Chryslers. I just like oddball stuff, and I'll continue to buy oddball engines as I find them. But definitely don't rule some of this stuff out. You know, you $250 for the engine. I could have ran the original manifold. I could have spent a couple $100 and bought enough stuff to make a different style manifold with headers or whatever. I spent, I think, about $30 total on the rear seal, and then as for gaskets, I'm going to run the GM sealer in the tube and not run gaskets. And you know, the important part with that is to get your surfaces really clean. So you can get by without spending a lot of money and have an older, cool engine with plenty of horsepower, plenty of torque. So something to think about, but we need to save as many as we can. All right, appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.